into your present state. And what I mean by time of impact, that is the time when you get the news that your loved one has passed away or something. Excuse me, or something has happened to them. So, if you survive the point of impact, you will be okay. If you survive the point of impact, you will be okay. I'm sorry, something is tickling my throat. If you survive the point of impact, you will be okay. And that was a message that I received. Thank you. See, we have some great team members here. Thank you. If you survive the point of impact, you will be okay. And that was a message that I received one night when I was having a really difficult time processing the hurt and the pain and the grief of losing my mother and my grandmother in the same month. My mom passed on November the 2nd, and my grandmother passed November the 19th. And I was just totally devastated. Then I had this little baby that I was to care for. And that was the first time that I had to care for my baby alone, because my mom and my grandmother had always been there to help me and my husband with the baby. In fact, my mother, she retired from her job to take care of my children while I went to law school. We lived right around the corner from each other. And so this was just a very devastating time for not just me, but for my entire family. And I remember one night I was having a very difficult time, and I could hear in my spirit God telling me that you survive the point of impact, you will be okay. And I know that you all remember the point of impact for yourselves when you got the call, or when you received the news, or when someone like myself, someone knocked on your door to tell you that your loved one was deceased. And, you know, if you're sitting here, you survived the point of impact. The worst of it is behind you. Now comes the time to just put your life together without that person's presence. And you can do it. And you will make it. I am speaking to your innermost parts, your innermost being, and commanding you to know that you will make it. And, you know, your body goes through all different kinds of turmoil, if you will, going through that process. And so one of the things that you have to be very, very watchful of is taking care of your body, getting the proper rest, exercising, because exercising helps you feel better, eating a good diet. And I know when you're in the throes of grief, you don't always feel like doing any of those things. And I want to encourage you to give yourself the space and the time to grieve. This is very important. You give yourself the space and the time to grieve. And what I mean by this is, you know, people always tell you where you should be. You should have gotten over it by now. You should be done with that. Are you still crying about that? I had a woman tell me a year after my mom had passed, I was talking to her about something that I was feeling. And she said, "Oh, you still talking about that?" You know, and so you have to be, very mindful of people and their insensitivity. Sometimes they don't mean any malice, but that's just where they are. That wasn't their loved one. And so you have to learn how to give people a pass, because you don't want to expend your energy on fighting a battle that has nothing to do with you, because someone else is being insensitive to your situation. And so give yourself the time and the space to grieve. That means you don't let anybody tell you how far along you should be. Now, let me just put a pin here. If indeed that person is close to you and they sense that perhaps maybe you may be falling into a depression, that's something different. But I'm talking about the people that have not walked very closely with you, who are outsiders telling you how far you should be. Those are the people that I'm talking about. So disregard them and go through your process. Give yourself the time and the space to grieve.